Well, I would say that I'm shocked and surprised by what happened last night, but I'm not. So, of course, we all know what happened. UVA gets bounced out of, this time, the first 4 round of the NCAA tournament. And I said in my video yesterday that, you know, I wasn't expecting much. I'm not mad, honestly. You know, but the thing is, when you put up 14 points in the first half and you go 14 minutes without even scoring a single point, you've got problems. I mean, even by our standards, that's bad as far as offense goes. So, it's just unfortunate, man. Definitely hated to see Reese go out like that. That was unfortunate, you know, as much as he's done for this basketball team and all that. And it kind of I said in my video yesterday, I was surprised that we got in the tournament, and last night showed why we did not deserve to be in. And I know teams like St. John's and Pitt and you know, Indiana State, their heads are probably exploding right now, because they probably thought, and rightfully so, they were more deserving of a tournament bid than we were. So, I mean, we essentially just wasted a tournament spot. I mean, the game was not even close. And I think, or at least I hope, that what happened last night was a necessary evil. Now, as I've said before, I said this in my video that I made about 2 weeks ago, you know, in no way am I saying that Tony Bennett needs to be fired or on the hot seat, especially after what he's done for us. You know, yes, it was a quote-unquote down year, but if you have 23 wins in a down year, that's pretty good in my book, okay? That just shows right there where your program is. And you remember back in those days, before we had Tony Bennett, we had coaches like Jeff Jones and Pete Gillen and Dave Lato. You know, 23 wins would feel like a national championship. And so, you know, as that old saying goes, and I think we learned this with Bronco Mendenhall, be careful what you wish for. And, you know, and you better enjoy this while we can. And so, you know, as I said, I will always be appreciative of Tony Bennett and everything that he's done at UVA, taking us to places that we've never been before. And he's the best coach ever at UVA with athletics as a whole, not just football or not just basketball. But last night proved that we got to make some changes, and it starts with our style of play. In today's college basketball, it does not work. And with this slow-paced mover blocker, whatever you want to call it, offense, there's very little, I mean very, very little margin for error. If you're off by just a little bit, you're going to be off by a lot. And, you know, I hope Tony sees that. You know, maybe he can bring in a coach this offseason, you know, that knows how to coach offense. And certainly the transfer portal, you know, it kind of makes me think that's something else I want to talk about. And, you know, there's going to be players that transfer. Happens every year. We all know that. But looking at this team going forward, obviously Beekman is gone, Groves is gone, Minor is gone. And look who we got returning. And some players that I would be worried about transferring. The biggest concern I have about losing a player is Leon Bond. Now, what I don't understand, you know, maybe there's probably more to this than what meets the eye. But, you know, Leon Bond, he played in the first game of the season. He scored in double figures. And after that, he barely even played. Okay? He barely played after redshirting last year. And so, you kind of makes you think, you know, I hope he doesn't transfer. You know, who else do we got returning next year? Dante Harris, IMAC, Rhodey, which, I mean, Andrew Rhodey's terrible, but that's besides the point. You know, Dante Harris, he needs to make better decisions as far as handling the basketball. He's a decent on-ball defender, I think, and if he would make better decisions, I think he could get more playing time. Who else? Elijah Gertrude. That's another one that I'm worried about as well. What little time he played this year, he impressed me. I was very impressed with him. You know, who else? I'm sure I'm missing something. Blake Buchanan. I think Buchanan will be better next year. I think if he adds some weight, puts on some more muscle, I think he'll be hard to handle. And but yeah, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I mentioned IMAC. Ryan Dunn, which, assuming he doesn't go to the NBA, which, I'll be honest, Ryan Dunn's not an NBA player. First off, he needs to work on his jump shot, and I don't know how many free throws he's airballed this year, but, I mean, no NBA player should be doing that. And so, I just don't think that Ryan Dunn is ready for the NBA, and he definitely needs to work on his jump shot. And so, but the bottom line is, in the portal, and I guess maybe to some extent this recruiting class, we got to get somebody who can shoot. And we got to find, you know, find players that can actually score. And it kind of makes you think, you know, I don't want to be that guy, you know, who's the who likes to wonder, you know, what might have been. But you think about guys like Isaac Trout, who transferred last year, and also Armand Franklin, who had another year of eligibility left, but he decided to go to the NBA. You can't help but think, had those two guys, who are both great three-point shooters, had they decided to come back this year, if things would have been any different. Of course, we'll never know, but you can't help but think that sometimes. But the bottom line is, like I said in my other video, we got to change things up on offense. You know, with the way college athletics has evolved over the last few years with NIL, the transfer portal, you know, we have to do our part to, you know, to stay in the game. You know what I mean? And so, and Tony, like I said, I think Tony is starting to realize that, or at least I hope he is, as far as, you know, about the future going forward, and, you know, hopefully he'll be willing to make changes. But nonetheless, you know, like I said, you know, 23 wins before Tony Bennett would have felt like a national championship. And like I said, we better enjoy it while we can. That's all I'm going to say about that. And do not listen to people like Stephen A. Smith, who actually went on that show First Take this morning and said that UVA should fire Tony Bennett. You know, I never listen to Stephen A. Smith. I take most of the things he says, I take it with a grain of salt. And, you know, just stick to the NBA, okay? Just stick to covering the NBA, Stephen A. You know, stay out of college basketball, because you clearly know nothing, okay? And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. But yeah, we gotta fix this, you know, and we'll see how things turn out. But, you know, I bleed orange and blue to the day I die. I love this team no matter what. And, you know, just keep fighting and, you know, just see how things turn out.